Our town, our TV. Amherst City Cable.
Well, hello. Welcome to the sports show. Northeast Ohio fans, home of these Big Ten national champions. I'm your host, Ty House. This
Alex
is the big
Squares.
homie. How you doing, big homie?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good. The Big Ten reigns supreme again.
Yes.
We on top.
The Big Ten does not reign supreme.
Yes, the Big Ten does.
Ohio State
The Big Ten
reigns supreme.
reigns supreme. See, it would take an SEC guy to say the Big Ten doesn't reign supreme.
They beat Auburn. They beat Baylor. They beat Alabama, Oregon.
Big Ten reigns supreme. Good job.
Enough of them.
No, good job. We're gonna talk about these guys, these Big Ten champions.
Well, let's talk about them then.
Yes, it feels good to be from this state.
Ohio. It's the entire state. Mm-hmm. So
Just like the Super Bowl.
to a lot of people it is.
Yeah.
Not to me.
Why not? You're not a these guys fan? No.
Not really. No.
You don't have a college team?
I don't really have a college team. I do
Oh.
not.
Okay.
I like the sport as a whole.
I've been sitting here all this time with you. I thought you was good old.
Well, you know, I put a front on at times, just like I pretend to like the Browns sometimes.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Fair weather.
I don't know if it's fair. Well, with the Browns, there hasn't really been any fair weather to be a fan of. But Ohio State, I mean, I lost money on that game, so I don't really I wasn't too happy about it at all.
Good job.
And folks,
If you have been sleeping under a rock,
can I
the
please-
Ohio State Buckeyes are the national champions. They went to, what was it, Cowboy Country, Dallas?
Yeah, Arlington.
And put the beat down on the Pac-12 champion Oregon Ducks, 42-20.
Yes.
What happened? What happened to that Heisman Trophy candidate, Heisman Trophy winner,
We were talking before. Yeah, winner, right?
now declared for the draft?
I mean, he like people have been talking all week about how the guy still didn't turn the ball over and threw for like 330 yards or something like that. It's not like they completely shut him down. They did completely shut down the running game.
He did throw for one interception.
He did?
Yeah.
Oregon could not run on Ohio State at all, and they found that out early. They realized that they weren't going to run it, so they stopped.
Powerhouse Big Ten football.
Yeah, with SEC speed is what the Ohio State Buckeyes put on the field against Oregon.
If you take a car and you have that car going down the highway at 180 miles an hour and it hit a brick wall, that car is going to stop.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Oregon did. Mm-hmm. And we were talking amongst ourselves before you got here, how you were saying all year about how Oregon's not a real football team; they're a gimmick football team, and we saw that when they faced a real
Football team.
hard-nosed football team in Ohio State.
I was shocked that they wasn't exposed in the Michigan State game, even though they were,
Yeah, right.
because they were losing that game in their own stadium until like the last 8 minutes of the game. But I was really shocked was how they destroyed Florida State, because Florida State, even though they wasn't the same Florida State of last year, still was a power football team. It wasn't a lot of finesse about Florida State.
Yeah, that's fair.
They just got caught up in the whole, we got to keep up with this tempo. No, you don't. Keep that tempo on the sideline.
Say you don't want to
How
keep up
you
with
do
it.
it.
You want to try to slow it down, because if you want to get if they were trying to get into a track meet with Oregon, there was no way they were going to beat them. Ohio State is one of the few offenses that can keep up with them, but they didn't have to because their defense is playing so well. They hold them 20 points. Would they score
20 points.
like? That had to have been their lowest total of the year. Had to have
They
been.
kept that offense. I mean, the offense, Oregon's offense is to keep you off balance. They want to get you tired and keep you off balance. That's that whole little 10-second thing. You ain't got time to substitute.
Right.
You know? And if you get caught up in that, then it's a wrap. They will put 60 points on you real quick. You see how they came down and scored like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
One drive, just 70 yards. And if you get caught up in that, you will get burned fast. Ohio State didn't get caught up in that, and I got to put it on what I said the last time we was here. Good coaching.
Yeah.
That Urban Meyer.
He knows what he's doing.
It's not easy to take a third-string quarterback and have everybody in NFL like, is he going to go to the draft?
Right, all of a sudden.
I might draft him.
All of a sudden.
3 games.
He's a second rounder now, all of a sudden.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Urban Meyer, man.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, he had us, Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, what, 2 Heisman, 1 Heisman?
1.
A national championship?
2 of those.
And got drafted in the first round?
Yeah.
Where is he now?
Right.
Where's Chris Leak?
Chris Leak, I don't even know if he ever got drafted.
You see what
But
I'm saying?
I know. Well, that's the thing about Urban Meyer. He's always put together very, very quarterback-friendly systems.
Systems. That's why he's not so quick to jump into the NFL. That's
Oh,
why
he
you
knows.
don't hear his name, even though you have heard it mentioned like, what about Urban Meyer? It's
Yeah.
really not been no topic of conversation in the 6, well, not even 6, we'll talk about that in a little while, NFL coaching vacancies.
Hey, he look good. He probably look over there in Denver.
In Denver, he had to bring Tebow back.
Yeah. Get that magic again.
Man, this was a great game, the Ohio State-Oregon game.
Yeah.
Even though it was kind of lopsided as far as
The final
the score.
score.
Yeah, I mean, you know, both teams put up offensive numbers. What happened? 538 to 465, Ohio State. Those are great offensive numbers. You know, Oregon had trouble on 3rd down.
Yeah.
You know, that speed, if you can, when they get in that speed offense, if you can knock them back just for a 1-yard loss or even hold them to no yards, you done already put that offense behind the gun. And they get to 3rd and 8, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's true. And that had been a theme pretty much the whole year with them. I saw a stat. It was something along the lines of drives in which Oregon score or they convert first downs. Each drive that Oregon converted a first down, they scored touchdowns on 2 out of every 3 of those possessions.
Wow.
And that's exactly what Ohio State did, is that they didn't let them get first downs. So they never really got rolling. They never got into a rhythm. And the defensive line of Ohio State played so good. They tore up Oregon's offensive line.
Monsters.
And they couldn't run the ball.
Monsters. Big
Which is
boys.
what they do. They run the ball. And they couldn't. You know who could?
And while we
Ohio
speak,
State.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. We would be just fools if we didn't mention Ezekiel Elliott.
And we again, before you got here, we were talking about that amongst ourselves, and now they win. They've won these 3 games, and everybody cannot stop talking about what's his name? Cardale Jones. But
This dude rushed for 246 yards.
he rushed for 200 yards in each of the 3 games that Cardale ran or won. I mean,
Cardale didn't have no bad games.
Absolutely.
16 for 23, 242 yards for 163 quarterback rating, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I would draft him with numbers like that. But this guy, Ezekiel Elliott, I mean,
With the half shirt. Oh, I love that. That is
yeah,
so cool.
he's a standout. He's got some swag. Come down with the LeBron on you like, what is this guy is? And they're all young. What is the world gonna do next year?
Super sophomores. Yeah, it's that we were. It's just it's scary to think how good this team could be.
What in the world? I mean, and then if you talk about the whole quarterback controversy, I think it's going to weed itself out because we've already talked about Braxton Miller possibly leaving, going to LSU. I've heard several places he might end up at.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if Cardale decides to stay, which he's kind of been hinting at, they kind of gave him a real short deadline as to when he could declare and blah, 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 blah. But if he stays around, you will have to look at him as a starting quarterback because JT Barrett will still be hurt starting next season.
Well, Braxton, if he stays, he might be too. I mean, as far as spring ball goes, if Cardell
It'll be his
goes
job.
if Cardell goes to the NFL,
You gonna
Ohio
start? You might
State-
start with an injured quarterback.
they might start with their fourth string quarterback, some white guy. I don't know who he is, but
Oh, they can't jump.
they can't play sports. But that's the thing. That's
Good
right.
job.
That's right. Is that if Cardell goes, JT Barrett's not going to be ready for spring ball,
Right.
and Braxton Miller, if he stays, might not be able to be ready
Right.
for spring ball. So they may start out spring football with that guy.
And that's all the more reason for Cardell Jones to stay. I mean, like he said in a little article I read before I got here, he said he's not ready for the NFL,
Right.
which means he needs more playing time. When he's saying, hey, I won the national championship.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can't think like that because it was these colors that won the national championship.
It was a team. It was a team win,
Yeah.
and that's what's irked me the most about this win. And
It was beautiful.
It was. It really was.
And
But
I won some money.
I just think Ezekiel Elliott needs to be talked about more. It needs to be.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
He got all the kudos from the sports show here.
Yeah,
Nothing but love.
absolutely.
He's our MVP. I mean, and
Absolutely.
they gave him the MVP trophy for the national championship. I mean, he's definitely getting his kudos. And
I mean, he had 240 yards and
sophomore.
4 touchdowns. You know.
a sophomore.
Look
Wow.
at all the sophomores on this team,
Right.
offensive and defense.
Right.
It's scary. The entire offensive line is sophomores or freshmen.
The power has shifted back to the Big Ten,
And then,
where
yeah.
it properly belongs.
You take in consideration the Harbaugh hiring, and then you also take in consideration James Franklin over at Penn State. Hopefully, he can get that thing turned
The
around.
only thing I'm kind of upset about is the whole Wisconsin with their coach leaving, running back leaving.
But they've had, like, Russell Wilson left, stuff like that. They tend to fall on their feet up there.
Yeah, we got to take a break. We come back. We're going to talk a little bit about the coaching vacancies in the NFL,
Playoffs, baby.
playoffs definitely, and some NBA power rankings.
Yeah.
This is the Sports Show. We'll be right back.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Our town, our TV. Amherst City Cable.
Welcome back to the Sports Show. Before we get to talking NFL, I just want to mention at least the top 10.
Do the top 15.
The top 15?
Well, isn't Wisconsin top 15?
Top 15. Ohio State, Oregon,
How?
TCU, Alabama, Michigan State at 5. In the AP poll, they tied with Florida State. Baylor, high.
I know.
Georgia Tech, Georgia, UCLA, Mississippi State at 11. 12 is Arizona State, 13 Wisconsin, 14 Missouri, 15 Clemson.
So the bowl, Mississippi State dropped from 1 all the way to 11 over the course of, 4 weeks? Something like that.
One game?
Yeah,
They played
yeah.
one game.
Well, I want to try to do the top 15 because Wisconsin was in that top 15.
Right.
And that, goes to show you Ohio State beat 4 top 15
Oh, yeah,
teams.
they definitely did. They earned the national championship.
They certainly did.
And I mean, like I say, I'm a Michigan man. I got kudos. I already mentioned their name once. I ain't gonna do it no more. Shout out to the Big Ten. Now let's get on to the NFL,
Yes.
where the Dallas Cowboys got a taste of their own medicine.
I knew. Oh, I totally forgot about this. I knew you were going to be fired up
Got
about
a taste
this.
of their own medicine.
Absolutely. And, okay, it was a catch. Des Bryant caught that football. It's a dumb rule.
Look, so did Calvin Johnson against the Bears a couple
you're
years
right, you're
ago.
right. It's a dumb rule. But, ha! Cowboys fans, all that crying, wah, 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 wah. The same thing happened to you. Oh, just, And these Cowboys fans,
Yep.
they're everywhere, first
Everywhere.
of all. Everywhere. Like, have you ever even been to Dallas?
Nope.
Like, how all these people
Just the Cowboy fans, because your daddy was a
get-
Cowboy fan.
Get real.
You should do like that little boy in Kansas that wrote a letter to all 32 owners, said he was looking for an NFL team to root for. And only one team wrote back, the Carolina Panthers.
Really?
So he's a fan for life for the Carolina Panthers. Find your own team. Don't be just monkey backing off your daddy team because the Cowboys was good in the 70s. They whack.
Monkey backing. That's a cool story.
Yeah, that was a good story.
Yeah.
They was good in the 90s too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were good this past year. I think
But the Packers, I see you got your colors on.
that's right.
gonna-
Fat
they
Eddie.
They're gonna lose this week. Yeah, talk about them.
Well, one of the most prolific offenses I've ever seen. Got a hurt quarterback.
Gimpy.
Got a tear in the calf. Now we saw it was the first scoring drive of the game against Dallas last week. I believe they're on like the 8, inside the 10 right there. Aaron Rodgers, he drops back to throw. He doesn't see much. He runs up. He's about at the 5.
Yeah.
Now, if he wasn't hurt, he would have ran that in.
It was some crap. He did that against Detroit in the last game of the season. But go ahead.
But
Whack.
Quarles flashed and he saw him and he hit him.
Touchdown.
But and that's just Aaron Rodgers. He can do what? He is just so awesome.
I mean, but we all knew that coming into the game, we all knew that Dallas defense wasn't up to the challenge.
No, I mean,
to me, actually, Green Bay and Dallas are the same team. They both got high-profile offenses, no defense. Neither one of those teams play defense.
I could even make an argument that the Dallas defense is a little bit better
See?
than the Green Bay defense.
And Dallas defense sucks.
The Green Bay secondary is really banged up. You know, they have some key injuries back there, and they have not to mention the young players they have playing back there. But what Dallas doesn't have is a guy like Clay Matthews who he could wreak havoc on his own, up in the box. Just by giving different looks, lining up different positions. You always have to account for him and confuse some people. But that back end of theirs is going to be susceptible to Russell Wilson.
Well, see, I know this calf has been looking bad for almost 3 weeks now. Going back to, like I say, the final game against the Lions, the regular season finale. He was injured. Then he had 2 weeks off. And in the Dallas game, he didn't look like he had healed any. He was the same gimpy. I don't know if it's a front trying to juke people out.
Maybe.
We're going to find out this Sunday or Saturday, whenever they play, because this Seattle defense, they hungry. They like to eat quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And they at home with that loud crowd.
Yeah, they're no joke. I mean, these two teams played to kick off the year this year, and Seattle put the boots to them.
That was in Green Bay, though, right? I think that was in Green Bay.
That's a great
Green
question.
Bay was undefeated.
At home.
Yeah,
right.
So that was in Seattle.
And this game, as we know, is in
Seattle. It's 12 of them. It's only 11 of y'all, Green Bay.
That's not fair. 12 men in the huddle. They should call in every single play.
Because it's there.
They are there. But it's just, it's so hard for me to believe that any defense can slow down this offense. It truly is. Even an all-time great defense like Seattle's.
The offense is predicated around Aaron Rodgers having time, which Dallas didn't put no pressure on him,
No, they didn't.
which was a mistake. He has a bad calf. Did you see the one play where he threw the long pass way down on the other end of the field and he just...
Yeah.
That right there was a notion that every time he say, What? You send 8 people after him. You blitz. If you was playing Madden, what would you do if Aaron Rodgers is hurt? You blitzing. You goal line defense every time. Blitz.
Well, I don't know
I'm sending all 13.
I don't know about the goal line defense. In Madden, my defense is I run a zone blitz scheme anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But the Green Bay can run the ball. Don't forget about that.
Man, do you know who they running into when they go to Seattle, brother?
Who?
Oh my God. Not Browner. What's my man's name? That just
Sherman.
No, the dude that just jumped over the whole
Cam Chancellor.
Him.
Twice.
The monster.
Dude, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Man.
That he was able to time that perfectly twice.
Man,
and then they got him with the penalty, which was weak. Like, they were just, you could tell the refs were just annoyed that he was doing that. So, because that wasn't running into the kicker. It wasn't at all.
We kind of talk like that's the Super Bowl.
Oh, I mean,
That's just the NFC Championship game.
say that. Well,
We got a whole nother championship game going on.
Greg seems to think that is the Super Bowl.
Man,
I disagree as well.
I mean, I don't have no faith in Indiana.
How can you?
I just don't.
But also-
they beat up a Denver team that really didn't want to play. They really didn't want to go back to the Super Bowl. And New England at home is New England at home.
Yeah. This Patriots team is one of probably their most complete team since 2007.
They don't have a running game.
They do when they need it. Don't you remember Jonas Gray running for
The dude that they
200
benched,
yards?
the dude that they benched the
Well,
next
well,
game,
well,
that's
they-
going to come back to bite them.
Well, they benched him because Pittsburgh cut LeGarrette Blount, who they had a history with, so they picked him up and plugged
That's
him
going to
in.
bite them.
Maybe so.
You want me to play now, huh, boss?
But but we saw Tom Brady threw the ball 50 times last game. We saw how that worked out. It worked out fine. Granted,
They have the offensive line that I think can withstand some of that pressure from a Seattle blitz on a neutral field.
and
That's the key,
and that's the thing.
the neutral field.
And Tom Brady is one of the few quarterbacks because Seattle's going to give you so many different looks, and he's the one guy that can see those and call them out and adjust accordingly to them. That doesn't mean that they're not going to get to him, and it's well documented that Tom Brady he's a different quarterback when he's taking hits over and over and over, and those hits become cumulative on him, and they build, and he just doesn't look the same. But New England could win the Super Bowl.
So who you got in the East? AFC.
I have New England and Green Bay.
In the Super Bowl?
Yes.
I got New England and Seattle. We got to get to these coaching vacancies because it's breaking news as we speak.
As we speak.
The San Francisco 49ers will promote their defensive line coach, Tom Sula. I think that's like Don Shula and somebody.
What's his name?
Tom Sula
Oh,
to
yeah,
head
yeah,
coach.
Yeah. You confused me.
Tom Sula to head coach.
Yeah.
Defensive line coach. San Francisco has promoted their defensive line coach to head coach.
That's actually pretty interesting considering that the defensive coordinator is still there and they didn't promote him.
Offensive coordinator Adam Gase is there as well. They was thinking about hiring Broncos offensive coordinator
Okay, yeah.
Adam Gase.
And the Broncos are rumored to not be interested in promoting
Not
him.
interested in promoting. Last choice. That's their last choice. I guess because, man, they got to get old man out the door.
Yeah. There's your offensive coordinator. Get him off the field. Give him a headset.
Man, the Oakland Raiders have hired Jack Del Rio.
I love that for them.
This is an awesome. He is a Raider.
Yep.
He looks like a Raider.
He does. He thinks.
Put a patch on his face.
He thinks like a Raider. That's a perfect hire for them. Hopefully. You always take saying something like this with a grain of salt, but hopefully they get that Raiders organization turned around.
The Bills announced Rex Ryan as their new coach.
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
I know. And you see Jim Schwartz, immediately left.
Right.
This is, the guy that coached them to have one of the best defenses in the NFL, they lose him because they bring in Rex Ryan. I don't see the trade-off there and how. That's what I'm talking about, and that's how I don't see how they see that as a positive.
The Jets hired Arizona defensive coordinator Todd Boyles. This is also a good pick.
Yeah, I like him too. He's a guy who he's been in the past few years. He's been rumored. He's at an interview. He's actually interviewed with the Browns last year. But they came, who'd they bring in? They brought in Greg Roman from the San Francisco 49ers, their offensive coordinator, a guy who also, whose name had been popping up the past few years. And I would have thought Greg Roman would have been a better offensive coordinator if Rex Ryan was still there. I'm not sure exactly what Todd Bowles likes to do, but he put some very, very interesting offensive looks out there as far as heavy packages, which would have been really great in Rex Ryan's scheme. But we'll see what they try to do there.
We got the Atlanta Falcons still with no coach.
Yeah.
And the Chicago Bears still with no coach. Josh McDaniels says he's up first.
Oh, yeah?
That's who they like for the Falcons job, but he's still playing. So you can't really mess with him until he's not on.
It seems to me that Josh McDaniels is just trying to wait out Bill Belichick at this point.
I think so.
Because he could have had jobs, you know? But he hasn't been taking them. But I believe it was John Fox who just got fired.
From the Broncos.
He interviewed with Chicago today.
Yep.
And the rumor I heard was that he will not leave without seeing an offer. So.
You know who made a bonehead move, and then we got to get ready to get out of here? The Buffalo Bills coach, Doug Marrone.
Yeah, what was that?
He had an NFL head coaching job, and he took the buyout. Like, I don't want to coach this team no more.
Yeah.
Thinking he was going to get a better head coaching job somewhere else. And it is quite possibly that he might be an offensive coordinator somewhere next year.
Or go back to Syracuse. Like, what's he thinking? Like, he's been in the year for 2 leagues.
My God.
No, it's not like he's been in the year for 2 years and just lit the world on fire. You know, he's been in the league for 2 years as a head coach, and he's 500.
Doug Marrone, you are our bonehead NFL person of the offseason so far.
Yeah,
We got to get out of here. Next week we'll have some NCAA basketball.
Yeah, we'll have a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Oh my God.
We're not going to talk about too much considering it's not for a while, but we'll know the teams.
Super Bowl already. Yep. Good job, guys.
Yep.
We'll be back next week. That's the big homie.
Alex Squares.
And I'm Ty House. Peace.
Go Packers.
Our town, our TV. Amherst City Cable.